Hi, Heather. Hi, audience.
Hey Mike, how you doing?
Good in yourself?
Doing good, thanks. I'm liking that mustache you have there.
Thanks. Yeah, I shaved off my goatee yesterday, and I'm probably going to shave off the mustache soon. But I thought I would just spend a week or two with only the mustache.
Nice. You wanted to have that mustache experience.
Yeah. I want to have that mustache experience. So the most common comparison I've been getting is an aging '70s porn star. Um, They wouldn't say that if they saw lower down, but
Well, I was gonna say at least that's a compliment because they're telling you look good. You look like a porn star. That's a good thing. That's a
I
compliment.
guess a porn star, should be at least somewhat attractive.
Bow chicka wow wow. Not all porn stars are attractive, and some people like that.
Then again, Ron Jeremy, I mean, he's not the most attractive man. I never understood the attraction. Do you?
No, I no, don't. Oh my God. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to tell the audience my apologies. I screwed up on the time today. So I had it listed as 1 p.m. when it should have been 3 p.m. That was my fault. So for everyone who is in here giving us comments and questions and suggestions, we went through all of it. So we will still answer your questions, but hopefully you guys will show up this time.
Yep. 10 lashes with a wet noodle, Heather.
Aye, sir. We'll do that. Definitely. Or I should say instead of Sir, Father Michael.
No, I'm not Father Michael.
Okay.
But he may make an appearance again one of these days.
Nice. Well, do we have a trivia today or should we just go straight into the questions?
No trivia. I can tell you about my kayak trip.
Ooh, I want to hear about that. Yeah.
Okay, so this is something I've been meaning to do for a long time. And recently I bought a used kayak on Craigslist for like $200, and I've been eager to use it. So me and 3 friends, we got dropped off at Willow Beach, which is about 12 miles downstream of Hoover Dam. And we went south on the river, and we did a 3-day, 51-mile kayak trip, ending up at Catherine's Landing, which is a marina just north of Laughlin and Bullhead City, Arizona.
Wow.
It was so much fun. It was like an appropriate distance, and the weather was nice, except it was very windy. Now, fortunately, though, the wind was at our backs, pushing us where we needed to go, but the waves were really big, so it was, exciting, shall we say, riding along with all these big waves. So the weather got in the wind speed without counting the gusts got into the 30s.
Oh my God.
That was really fun. So I'm looking forward to doing it again. Next time, I think I might do like a 50-mile ride, doing the most of Lake Mead.
How are your arms and your chest and your legs and your body? How are you not withering in pain right now?
I have no pain at all. I would like to think that I'm in pretty good shape.
You must be.
So yeah,
awesome.
I was fine with that.
That's cool. Did you guys see any hot springs, waterfalls, anything like that while you were on there? Did you visit the
You asked that because as you know, there's hot springs between Hoover Dam and Willow Beach. But we didn't do that section. We got dropped off at Willow Beach and went south. So no, we unfortunately didn't see any hot springs or waterfalls, but the trade-off is that we hardly saw anybody. It seemed like we had all of Lake Mohave to ourselves. Barely saw any sign of civilization this whole trip, except we passed by what's it called? The Cottonwood Cove Marina, whatever that one is. So it was probably a great time of year to go because most people were not boating because it's January and it was quite windy. So
did you have any trouble camping or
no, there were plenty of spots. I mean, occasionally you could see cars that drove up and were camping, but but like the second night we just had we could have chosen anywhere along the Lake Mohave shore. It was just all deserted.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's nice, pretty sandy beach, nice and flat. So, I mean, I'm surprised not everyone does this. This is like a great lake right in our own backyard. And I had never even seen Lake Mohave before.
I don't know. Maybe the 3 days of paddling would stop most people.
That is true. I mean, you can access it from Searchlight. If you go east, you'll get to it. But, and like I said, there are a lot of dirt roads that will take you there. But for me, it's not fun unless like you earn it to get there.
I don't know. A speedboat sounds pretty fun to me.
Muscles, not motors, is my philosophy.
Now, people who do speedboats and motors, they normally upset people in kayaks, right? Like the kayak people don't like the people who ride around in motors because of the waves.
It's not so bad. I mean, I've done other kayak trips that were in areas that had lots of boats, and I find that 95% of them are very courteous, and if they see a kayaker, they will slow down.
Oh, cool.
Which is very cool of them. So, you know, I get it. You have to share the water. So I'm not going to complain about that as long as the boaters are courteous. But as a bicyclist, when I get on my bicycle, suddenly I hate cars passionately. But then after the bike ride, I'll get in my car.
Well, I don't blame you, especially after what happened recently with that group of bikes.
Yeah, we took that very road getting back north after our trip.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, Heather's referring to a bicyclist group that was going south on the 95. And yeah, one of them got killed by a truck. So, but yeah, let's not get into that.
Should we get into gambling questions?
Yes. So yes, what are some questions, some of the earliest questions?
One of our earliest questions comes from Anne. She asked us about an hour early, so thank you, Anne, for being here. Mike, were you aware that today is the 21st day of the 21st year of the 21st century? And also that each date that falls yesterday through next Friday is a palindrome? Palindrome, sorry.
I knew the first part, but the second part I did not know. So for those of you who don't know, a palindrome, if you reverse the letters or numbers, you still get the same thing. So you can see, for example, 12021 is the same frontwards and backwards. So that's super cool, Anne.
That's really freaking cool. I love that. Yes. Okay, and the next one is also from Anne, and this is the question. So do you notice that some people write $50 50 and then the dollar sign instead of the dollar sign 50? What do you feel about that?
I think that in some countries they do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. Like I know with the euro, you put that first. But I think in China they put the symbol for the yuan. I believe they put that after the number. So if the person is from another culture, that can be forgiven if they do it for that reason. But you know, as you know, the standard format is to put the dollar sign to the left of the number. And yeah, I would find it annoying if I saw somebody repeatedly doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So our next question comes from Stefan. And Stefan says, on Ultimate Hold'em, what percentage of your anti-bet do you use for the trips bet?
I don't bet the trips bet at all. It's a sucker bet.
Okay. So no trips bet.
No trips bet at all.
So 0%.
Well, it would be, so what percentage of the anti-bet do you use for the trips bet? But if I'm not making an anti-bet at all, then I can't answer the question. You might say infinity percent. Yeah. Okay. Trips bet, no. And you know, it depends somewhat on the pay table. Like there's a good pay table and a bad pay table. But they're both, the house edge on both of them is much higher than the base game. In fact, I'm going to look this up real quick, but you can ask me the next question.
So the next question is from Skill and Luck.
Mhm.
And with the new president, do you think online gambling will ever come back to everyone? And if not, what do you think it'll take?
Okay. First of all, let me follow up on the trips. Okay, so I think the good trips pay table goes 3, 4, 7, 8, 30, 40, 50. That has a house edge of 3.50%, which is not so bad. But the bad one goes 3, 5, 6, 7, 20, 40, 50. So that lowers the flush, the full house, and the 4 of a kind. And that one is at 6.81%. So if you must bet the trips bet, at least look to see if you're playing the good or the bad pay table, and definitely take it in more moderation, or don't bet it at all if you're playing the stingy one. And if you want to just remember one number, if the 4 of a kind pays 30, it's good, and if it pays 20, then it's bad. Okay, so you asked about the new president and internet gambling.
Yes.
I tend to think this is not high on his list of priorities.
Yeah, probably not.
I tend to think that if somebody sat down with him and said that internet gambling is this huge industry, and the U.S. is almost blocked out of it because we all but banned it when George W. Bush was president, and meanwhile Europe has taken the initiative, and they're doing really well with it. We should be competing there, and already we are now allowing it on a restricted basis. Like in Nevada, you can gamble on the internet as long as you're a Nevada resident and you're gambling from Nevada. Mm-hmm. So as long as we recognize that's okay, why not let people from other states and other countries gamble on Nevada internet casinos? They're taking our money. Why not take theirs? It's a free market. And I tend to think he's smart enough to respect that. And meanwhile, had you said this to George W. Bush, he would have said, "Oh, gambling is sinful. I don't want it at all." I don't think Biden is likely to take that line of thought. So I think we may, I hadn't thought about it before, but I could see that being liberalized down the road once he addresses more important matters.
Maybe like in a second term then.
I'm hoping that kind of the dust settles after about 3 to 6 months, and he can start looking at things like that. But we'll see.
So our next one comes from 2 different people, both Richard and Skill and Luck. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite craps strategy?
To bet, make line bets only, and back them up with the full odds. So pass, don't pass, come and don't come. And you might say, Mike, why would you even make the pass or the come at all when the house advantage is a little bit less on the don't pass and don't come? It's because it is really, really just a very small bit less, like 0.01%, something like that. And I think that it's more fun to bet with the table. That way you get kind of more of that contact high when the table is running good. But it kind of depends on my mood. Sometimes I'll bet with the table, sometimes against it. But absolutely, just stick to those line bets and back them up with the full odds. That is my strategy. And by the way, there are some Wizard of Vegas questions, which we should try to alternate with.
Okay. Do you want to do that one next?
Okay. Well, let's do another live stream one. And while I get the forum questions ready.
Sounds good. So with the strategy, the basic question is, when using those strategies, let's see. I just had it. Basically, what is the table minimum that you look for when you're going to a craps table to play your strategy?
I like a $5 minimum.
Yeah.
That way I will be comfortable backing it up with the full odds. For example, if it's a 3, 4, 5 table, the biggest odds bet I'm going to be making is $25, which I'm comfortable with. But at $50, it starts to, like if I'm just playing for fun, it gets a little beyond what is a fun bet, and it kind of gets serious for me. So yeah, $5 is a good table.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's move on to the forum one.
Okay, so this one's kind of long. I probably should have pre-screened it, but okay. Hello, Heather. Hello, Wizard. I'm a resident of New Jersey and interested in opening an online account at Golden Nugget Casino here in Atlantic City. My wife and I are concerned as to the legality of online gambling. Can you explain the laws concerning online gambling in New Jersey and perhaps a little about the process of responsibly paying state and federal taxes on winnings? Also, too, I chose the Golden Nugget because of the Wizard of Odds improved endorsement. Just to let the wizard know when I check and blah, 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 blah. Okay, with that in mind, does the wizard's promise to mediate in the unlikely event one ever has a problem still apply? Is the wizard still a proud partner with Golden Nugget Casino? Thank you, Heather and Mike. So let me make sure this Golden Nugget Casino is the same one that's in Atlantic City.
Okay. And while you're doing that, we have a comment from Sean too. Thanks for all you guys do. Really great content. So thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, as I was just saying about the last question, internet gambling is now legal interstate. That means if you live in New Jersey, you are allowed to play at New Jersey internet casinos like the Golden Nugget. And I wasn't aware that, to be honest, I wasn't aware that we endorsed that. It's, shall we say, other people on our staff do most of the work screening the casinos. However, we stand by all of our casinos we promote. And if in the unlikely event there's ever a dispute, and at least try to take the first step to resolve it yourself. But we will try to help you out. If you play at one of a casino we endorse, preferably you will, like where it says who referred you, you say that we did. And we will we will approach the casino, get their version of it. And lots of times we can settle it at that level. But if they still won't pay, we will consider removing the endorsement. So, yep.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, let's go on to the next live stream question.
Okay, so the next live stream question comes from Paul. What are your thoughts on arcade redemption games such as Skee-Ball, claw machines, and coin pushers? Any advantage plays that you like, and do these games turn kids into degenerates?
I've never been asked that one before.
That's a pretty good question.
Okay. There are advantage plays with these games. For example, at the Red Rock arcade, they have basically a roulette game where you win tickets instead of money. And the way it worked is there was this spinning light that spun around the table, and you would press a stop button, and then where it would like go a little bit further and stop. And I found that you could time that, where once like the light passed a certain point, you hit the button and it would trickle right to like the jackpot slice. And I could get it there probably half the time. And
really?
I was just getting buttloads of tickets. However, all you can cash them in for is stuff that I don't want, like stuffed animals. But it goes to show you that there are tricks with these games. I'm not an expert on it. The claw game, I've only tried that a few times and never had any success with it. I tend to think that's a ripoff. But who knows? But maybe there's a trick to it. I don't know. But my general advice is if you go to an arcade, you should be playing for the fun, not for the tickets. Because
I don't know. Winning a lot of tickets is pretty fun.
If I can't spend the tickets on something I want, then why? Now, however, lots of times when I'm in an arcade, I'm there with a kid, and it gives me some joy if I can give a huge handful of tickets to a little kid and let them spend them, because I can see they get so much pleasure out of that shopping experience. And
Yeah.
it teaches them a little math. Like, let's say they have 300 tickets. They're always going to want something that costs 30,000 tickets. And you can kind of say, no, you don't have enough tickets for that. And it might give them a lesson on budgeting their money. So that I can appreciate. But if I'm just by myself, I probably wouldn't have tickets to begin with. And if I did, I would probably just look for the nearest kid and give them to him or her.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, moving on to our next question, and this is from Sean. What are your general thoughts on the state of comps that Vegas is giving out due to the sluggish business that has been happening lately? Do you think it's been getting looser or tighter?
I mean, I haven't hardly been playing at all, but everyone is saying that casinos have been very generous with comps lately, especially with hotel rooms, because so many of them are just sitting empty, and it doesn't cost the casino much to fill those rooms. So,
do you know what our occupancy rate is?
Do I know what it is? I just know that it's quite low.
Okay.
That we have plenty of empty rooms, especially midweek. So yeah, it's a good time to play. Come out and play if the comps are your motive. So shall we go to another Wizard of Vegas question?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, thank you for answering my question about kids and calculus. My next question, this comes from Smooth Graph. As a collector of stuff, have you thought about what your kids will do with them after you go to the great math lab in the sky? I still have much of my parents' stuff, and I'm hoping my kids will appreciate my stuff like 8-bit computers, but I think they don't. Yeah, that's a good question. I will say that I have kept every collection I have inherited, which aren't many, but I inherited a stamp collection from my grandfather, and I inherited a collection of presidential medals. Like every time there's a new president, they come out with like a commemorative medal that's like this big, and which reminds me I need to get a Biden one. And so I have those going all the way back, I think consecutively to Franklin Roosevelt, and then I have a smattering of earlier ones, and coins. So those are, even though I never got into collecting those themselves, those collections mean a lot to me. However, I collect so many things, the main thing being license plates. And so far, my kids have not shown much interest. I think my son likes the presidential medals, but the license plates are my pride and joy. And so far, my kids have shown no interest in that at all. So, you know, maybe they will later, but it is what it is.
It's a hobby you have to grow into. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, license plates are kind of intimidating because there's so many different kinds, and there's so many to get that there's a lot to learn about the hobby. Whereas presidential medals, there's only so many presidents.
That's true.
It's kind of easy to get.
Good point. Okay, so moving on to our next question from the Peanut Gallery, and this is from Paul. Regarding the all tall and small bet in craps, how do you feel about laying a box number if it's the only number left to guarantee a win? Realize 2 commandments are broken in this one question.
Yeah, I disapprove of that. And I realize that it's tempting. But first of all, as you know, the side bets, and especially the hot bets and craps, carry very high house advantage. And secondly, you're there in the casino to gamble, so just gamble. And imagine the story is going to be so much better if you hit that last number and get the fire bet or the bonus craps, whatever it is. And it's going to, but if you win it by hedging first, you're not going to get that win the full way because much of it will already have been lost hedging. So yeah, go for the full thing. That's what I have to say. And my the way I phrase the commandment is thou shalt not hedge thy bets. However, there's an exception that if life-changing amounts of money are involved, then I could see it. Like the crap side bets don't get this big, but if you were, say, a roll of the dice away from $1 million, which there's no such scenario, but then I would consider hedging. Or let's say that you have a big parlay bet and you're one bet away from 100,000, and $100,000 would be a lot of money to you. Then I could kind of see betting on the other team. Just to hedge your bets, because the house advantage in sports betting is much less than on the sucker bets and craps. So that's what I have to say about that.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, let's go back to the Wizard of Vegas.
Sounds good.
So Odious Gambit asks, you were a professor at UNLV for a while. Did you find this rewarding, frustrating, or how would you describe it? Well, first of all, and Heather, you are too, but I would say that the pay is really low for adjunct professors. It's almost like a volunteer thing. And I had a pretty small class, and I would say that half the students were really lazy and shall we say not trying. And, I lived really far from UNLV. And I only had to teach once a week. And I must admit that when it was my day to teach, it was kind of a drag to have to drive all the way there. But nevertheless, it's prestigious to say you're a college professor, and some of my students really liked it and asked good questions. So on the whole, I liked it, but it definitely had its pros and cons.
Well, with the longer hair, you definitely look more professory. Like that totally looks more university professor right there. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The mad professor.
Yes, the mad professor. Now that's fun. I like that. That's really cool. And then just to add my 2 cents to that, same, I've been there for several years now, UNLV adjunct professor. I love it. I am so psyched. I just love the fact that, I can say that I'm an adjunct professor. I think the pay isn't that bad. But then again, here's me coming from someone who is like working $8 an hour. So I have that to compare it to. But it was really fun. We had a good class. I would deal probably 2, maybe 3 times a year. And I would deal to casino managers, regulators, and people who were in law enforcement that needed to know about the game, also surveillance as well. And we would talk about 4 tables. So roulette, craps, blackjack, and mini baccarat. And I would basically go through and tell them, the basics of the game, what to look out for if someone's cheating, how to handle it. We share experiences and everything. And it was a 2-hour class. And I love it. I have a great time with it. And I'm just really happy and thankful that I got to have that experience.
All right.
Cool. Okay, so our next question comes from Saxy Boy. I have a question about 3-card poker. I'm a strong supporter of your rule, all side bets are sucker bets. That being said, is the pair plus bet a true side bet and therefore should never be played?
Yep. The pair plus is a side bet. You never see people not making that bet, so it may seem fundamental to the game, but it's not required. And the common 1, 3, 6, 30, 40 pay table carries a house advantage of 7.3%, if I'm not mistaken, which is quite high. Therefore, it's definitely a side bet, and I definitely betting it is definitely ill-advised.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Shall we go to another forum question?
Sure.
Okay, so Terrapinid basically asks about Burning Man 2021 and if it's going to happen. And so I looked into this before the show, and if you go to the Burning Man website, burningman.org, it's still talking about the virtual Burning Man from 2020 as if it's in the future, like virtual Burning Man is going to be these dates in 2020. And it hasn't been updated since, which is not a good sign that they're in financial health if they're not updating their website. And I think they could stand to at least say something, like I'm sure they haven't made a decision yet, but at least say we don't know yet. At least we're thinking about it. And I've seen a couple articles that say that Burning Man lost a lot of money last year because they had to cancel it, and they're asking for donations to stay afloat. So I predict that it's not looking good for Burning Man in its present form and owners to stay alive. And am I going to lose any sleep over that? No. I already think that Burning Man had become too big. So who knows? Maybe they go under, but maybe something smaller and better rises up out of the ashes. My prediction is there's not going to be a normal Burning Man in 2021. And furthermore, the coronavirus will probably still be with us at that time. That's my prediction.
Okay. Well, after that one, we got an easy question for you.
Okay.
What restaurant in Las Vegas would you pick for your last meal?
I've never been a good person with restaurant questions.
I would pick an all you can eat buffet. That way I never stop eating and it won't be my last meal.
That's a good point. But I think these buffets have a 2-hour rule. I'm pretty sure they do. I bet they hardly ever need to invoke it. But I could picture a homeless person paying once at breakfast and then just never leaving.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, why not? So they need to have this rule just, for such situations.
True.
To me, I can't think of any one restaurant that really shines above the rest. I
think I'd want sushi.
Yeah. I can't think of a sushi restaurant on the Strip that is like an order of magnitude better than the rest.
Oh, no, there isn't. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that I'm complaining about food on the Strip, but I think that in general, you get what you pay for. And, at the high price range, pretty much everything is good.
That's true. Good point. Okay, back to a gambling question.
Yep.
So Sean says, I saw in a documentary that having a computer on you to aid in gambling is illegal. I thought having any device on you to aid a player is illegal. What do you think? Yeah,
that's true. So, here in Nevada, you cannot use a device to aid you in playing, but the law has never clarified exactly what a device is. Now, some people have said that using just the basic strategy chart in blackjack, is that a device? And you see people using those all the time. Nobody has ever pressed charges saying that is a device. So I think that the spirit of the law is something like computers and mirrors, something that's definitely used to help you cheat.
Anything electronical. And that's why your phone's not allowed anywhere near the table.
Right. But also a mirror. I would think, a mirror would count as a cheating device if used as one.
I know with dealers, there's a place you could put the mirror on a shoe, and then you could see every card that's going to come out before it comes out. So I can completely understand why mirrors would be included in that.
Yeah, I know a guy who has a collection of cheating gaming equipment, and he has one of those, and it's like at the end of the shoe, and it's hard to explain, but he could see what the next card would be. And if it was his intent to deal seconds, then it would have been so easy for him to do so. Yeah. That law would help the law enforcement arrest the casino for that. Otherwise, he could say, "Show me the rule against mirrors."
Yeah.
But another real life question is now with everyone having smartphones is, can you use apps like my own video poker wizard at the video poker machine? And I have never heard once of anyone even being asked not to do that. I don't. So people aren't doing that for the purpose of cheating. That's why I think the casinos have never, as far as I know, even asked anyone to not use them. I have used them at the machines sometimes when I get a tricky hand, and I think they're okay. But don't send me your legal bill if you for it.
Yeah, from working in a casino, they always told me that you can't have your phone anywhere near a table. I can't remember too much about slot machines. I never really paid too much attention about that. But
Since you were a dealer, though, everybody's walking around with a cell phone now and getting calls and taking pictures. So the enforcement of the no cell phones rule is getting really lax.
yeah, but that's the thing with corporate. Corporate is not as strict with those type of standards as, say, someone who stayed in the gaming industry for, a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think we beat that one to death.
Okay, so Noble Johnny Callie is telling me that there is a question on the Wizard of Vegas forum. So he was wondering if you could please check and see if his question is on there.
Okay, Noble Johnny Callie. Let me look for that. And while I'm doing that, Heather, why don't you ask us a new one?
Sounds good. So we have a lot more chatter. Let's see. What is another one? What are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
Noble, how did he spell it? Noble Johnny Callie.
Yep.
My thoughts on Bitcoin is I think that it's a fad. I think that it's, I definitely don't recommend it as an investment. Most people I know who are investing in Bitcoin never actually use it. They just see, oh, it's going up like crazy. I want to get on the bandwagon. But I think that I'm 55 now, and it seems like at any given time, there's always some kind of a fad investment, be it, and sometimes it's something legitimate, like we have seen gold go up like crazy and the NASDAQ go up like crazy. But sometimes it's something silly like Beanie Babies. But there's always some kind of fad investment all the time. And I say that right now it's Bitcoin, and the only thing fueling it is greed, not genuine need for the use of Bitcoin. And furthermore, as someone who has actually used Bitcoin legitimately to make online casino deposits and withdrawals, it's not as good as everyone thinks. It's proposed to be this thing where you can do a financial movement of money and pay a few pennies and it happens instantaneously. No, it's not like that. You have to pay like a few dollars now, and it could take hours to process. And you can pay more to have your transaction prioritized to get it done faster, but it's not doing what it's supposed to do. And furthermore, I hear there's other cryptocurrencies that are cheaper and faster. So I think that Bitcoin was a good idea, but I think that somebody else is going to, or already has figured out a way to do it cheaper, faster, and to not be such an electricity hog like Bitcoin is. So I think that as soon as there's general acceptance of something better that merchants actually take, that you can buy stuff with, I think that's going to pretty much put Bitcoin out of business. So my advice is I would not hold any more than like 5% of your net worth in Bitcoin, because I think there's going to be a huge crash, and I don't know when it's going to be. And in all fairness, my previous, I have been saying this for years, since Bitcoin was around $1,000, and now it's like around 40. And it would be easy to criticize me saying, Wizard, you've been a Bitcoin Scrooge for years, and it's 40 times the price now. And I still say that nobody has actually, that there has been any change in net wealth of the whole planet. That this illusion of more wealth is an illusion, that you haven't achieved this wealth until you withdraw the money, which people haven't been doing. They've been hoarding it. And once
And some people have forgotten their password. They
Yep.
can't even get to their money because they forgot their password.
Exactly. But Bitcoin only has value because people think it does. And granted, you can say that about anything, but things that are intrinsic, like real estate and gold, those have a tangible value, and Bitcoin is literally nothing. And so yeah, I would only hold Bitcoin for using it for the purpose for which it's designed, to buy stuff electronically. So that is my commentary on Bitcoin.
Good answer. Now, the person who put the question on the Wizard of Vegas live stream, he might also go by Billy Wagknife.
Billy, why don't you just re-ask the question, please?
Sounds good. And while we are waiting for him to do that, our next one is from Pick. Okay. What safeguards, notwithstanding RFID, do casinos have in place in the event of a power outage to prevent a mad dash for table game chips?
Well, this actually happened. There was a boxing fight, and I think there was a shooting, and a huge riot ensued, and that spilled out into the MGM. And what the dealers did is, as I understand it, I wasn't there, is they immediately slammed shut, or they put a cover over the chips and locked it. And furthermore, once when I was in the Bahamas, there was a storm, and I was in the casino, and there was a blackout. I mean, suddenly it was pitch black, not even any emergency lighting. But I could hear every single dealer slammed a case on top of the chips and locked it. And, I would say that after about 10 seconds, some emergency lighting came on, and you could see that every dealer, had been through this before and knew exactly what to do. So
dealers are actually trained for that. So if the lights go out, if anything happens like that, even if there's a riot or anything, the first thing you have to do as a casino dealer is take your tray out and put it on top and guard your chips. And that is like, they drill that into you.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's about as far as I can take that one.
Cool. Did you find his question on the Vegas forum? No.
So I keep forgetting his name. Billy.
Yeah, I don't see any.
Okay. Let me give it another try.
Okay. So our next one, let's see here. We got a lot of questions that we're not going to be able to get to today. This is from Nicole Johnny, California. What are the odds of winning this Friday's Mega Millions jackpot?
Well, it says right here on my website, but off the top of my head, I believe it's 1 in 292 million. But let me tell you exactly. So you click on View All Games, click L, click Lottery, click under Games, click. He said Mega Millions, right?
Yeah, Mega Millions.
Okay, so yeah, the chances are 1 in 302,575,350. So let's go over to the Mega Millions. Let me see what the jackpot is now. It's 970 million. So this is actually not the best time to play. I have the demand for tickets goes up exponentially with the jackpot size up to a point of about 500,000. Then it starts to get more logarithmic. But because there's more competition when the jackpot gets really big and newsworthy, if you do win it, you're probably going to have to split it with other players. So I estimate the best time to play is when the jackpot is in the range of about 300 million to 500 million before people start coming out of the woodwork and buying tickets. Because if you win, you don't want to share it. You want it all to yourself.
Well, that's a good answer.
It's always a terrible value. So when you consider taxes and that it's paid out over an annuity and jackpot sharing, the Mega Millions and Powerball are absolutely terrible value with like a 75% house advantage.
Wow. Holy cow. But what would you do if you won all those Mega Millions?
I don't like to even entertain that line of thought because I know I'm not gonna play, and I know that if somebody just gave me tickets that they're not gonna win, that so it's not like that I really dream about it and it motivates me to buy some. But I would probably live my life much the same way. I mean, most of my hobbies are free, and to be honest, I would probably retire and just spend the rest of my life having adventures, mountain climbing and kayaking and bicycling and stuff like that.
That sounds pretty good. I like that. I'd probably get a house. Ooh, I like this. Mo the Cat says, does that mean I have to call you the wizard and professor?
Well, you can call me the wizard. I'll let Heather answer to the part about you being the professor.
It sounds like something from Gilligan's Island. I love it.
But you can call me professor too.
That's awesome.
Since I have been a professor, I think that that title stays with you the rest of your life.
Yeah, definitely. Now, David brings up the fact that there are some YouTubers out there that do play games and they have their phone on the table right there. I just wanted to point out that all of those YouTubers, they have to have express permission from the casino, not only to use their phone, but also to use the camera to record the live stream. So that's usually he's my friend and he's letting me do this, and it's like a special thing. Now, anyone else who goes to a casino, they cannot have their phone at the table.
That may be the rule, but I have recorded slot machines lots of times and nobody's ever said anything.
Kicks you out? Do you know how many times I've been kicked out?
For that reason?
For slot machines. I was recording a slot machine and it wasn't even 5 minutes later and I had 3 security guards on me escorting me out.
May I ask which casino?
I don't want to say.
Well, tell me after the show, but I think they should deserve to be shamed if that's all you were doing. And like I said, I've done this lots of times and no one's ever paid any attention.
Yeah.
But with Slot Lady, though, it's obvious that she gets permission with the table games because she obviously has a camera set up that looks down on the table. And she obviously has a good relationship with the El Cortez. And if I were trying to monetize slot videos, then I would seek out permission. But when I record a slot machine, it's just because I want to understand how it works, and I don't publish the video.
Okay. Now, are there any other questions on the Wizard of Vegas forum that we want to
we're all
get to?
caught up there.
Okay. In that case, we're going to do one more question on the chat. And thankfully, it looks like we got through most of them, but we weren't able to get through all of them. Sean says, what is the house edge on free bet blackjack side bet with the pot of gold?
Well, again, let's look it up on my site.
And this is why, if you guys ever have any of these questions, check out the Wizard of Odds website. It is a fantastic website with a ton of good information. You could play the games for free. You could get strategies. You could get all the math and everything. It is a fantastic, fantastic website. If you haven't already, go check it out, wizardofodds.com.
Yep. Okay. So it looks like the pot of gold has 2 pay tables. The one that goes 3, 10, 30, 60, 100, 300, 1,000 has a house edge of 5.77%. And the more generous one that goes 3, 12, 30, 50, 100, 100, 100 is at 4.64%.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
We got through all of the questions on this live stream. I'm really excited to say we were able to get through all of them. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we end?
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
No?
Do you want to set a date for the next one?
It will always be at 3 p.m. So if it ever shows up as 1 p.m., that's my fault. It's 3 p.m., not 1 p.m. I do apologize for that.
How about 2 weeks on February 4th?
Sounds good. February 4th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, so thank you, audience, for showing up and for your questions and comments. And thanks, Heather, for producing the show and being my sidekick.
Always a pleasure. I have so much fun with these.
Yes. Okay, so
until next time.
Yeah, until next time, audience. Have